So this is a preliminary drawing that I do for every lyric portrait. That is a drawing that's made out of words. It's done in blue pencil, and the reason I do it in blue pencil is because it doesn't reproduce. When I go to turn this into a black and white scan, if I want to just print the black ink, that is just the words, the blue pencil won't show up. I can just kind of get rid of that pretty easily. Same way in movies, you have a blue screen or a green screen for special effects. The reason I do this blue pencil drawing is just to get the likeness of the people that I'm drawing, or whether it's a pet. If I do a pet portrait, sometimes I do those. But I want to make sure that I've got a good composition, everything's there. Like I said, the likeness, proportions, the foreshortening, the composition, everything that I might need to do the rendering in ink. As far as the lyric portrait name goes, it just kind of has a ring to it, but it really just means that I make a drawing out of words. Usually it's lyrics to a song, but it can also be, and has been sometimes, an excerpt from a movie, just a quotation from someone that's meaningful. I've even done a portrait of a couple of children that was the words to an entire children's book. So it can take any form. And I've even seen people online do drawings that are made out of just one word. That can be powerful too. I've yet to just do one word, although I will say that sometimes when I do a drawing that is the entire lyrics to a song, I may do just one phrase from that song for a particular portion if I'm trying to get a good pattern on a tree, for example, like in the bark of the tree behind the man and wife in this drawing. If I use one phrase or even just one word from the lyrics, that will give a certain consistency to the texture of that tree. It might not be there if I just continue writing all the words. A lot of times it's a challenge, the fun challenge, to try and get all the words in order, at least in most of the drawings, so that you can see, you can actually read it like a book if you find the right place. Now here, you'll see that I'm fixing a little bit of the drawing to get the likeness better, but I've already started the ink. Once I do the ink, I'm trying to be really careful about how dark I go and really be in control of the values. I don't want to go too dark anywhere. That means I'll have to go dark in the rest of the entire drawing. I use micropoint pens just because I'm used to them. I've been using them, I don't remember the first time, but it was when I was in high school. You may notice that sanding block, 180 grit off to my left. I use that to sharpen the blue pencil. Now, the blue pencil is a mechanical pencil with blue lead in it. It doesn't fit into a standard pencil sharpener. It's also not a small lead like you would see in a normal number 2 mechanical pencil. So since the lead's a little bit thicker, I have to sharpen it every now and then on that sanding block to get the edge that I need. Here you can see to the left of my drawing that I've got the lyrics by Croce, Time in a Bottle. and I periodically look over there if I lose my place or I forget a certain passage in the song. Like I said, when I can, I try to continue doing the lyrics in order. So if you happen to find a place in the drawing and you recognize the words, you can follow along. But as you see, I do jump around a lot. I've never noticed that it actually slowed me down or hindered the quality of the artwork itself. So since drawing is something that's very relaxing to me, I don't want to stop myself from what just comes natural when I sit to draw. One very important quote that I read in a book called Drawing with Imagination is that creativity increases when judgment and criticism decreases. These drawings, made out of words, take hours and hours to do. You can tell that they're pretty large drawings. I believe I'm using a 16 by 20 sheet of paper. It's actually Bristol board, so it's pretty thick, it's pretty smooth. I've tried experimenting with different kinds of paper. I've drawn on watercolor paper, which has a lot of tooth. I did a portrait of Mr. Rogers on that type of paper. It isn't as good for this technique because you just make them a little bit harder to read. You don't really need a texture for this kind of drawing. Believe it or not, even when I'm drawing very thin lines, or what looks like very thin lines, they're still words. Now there's a limit to how small I can write. I try to get as small as I can when the detail requires it. You'll notice outlining certain things that do need to be outlined, like fingers in certain places, eyes, lips, maybe the wrinkles in shirts, things like that. I'm still writing the words from the lyrics to the song. Sometimes I may flip the letters on their side. I may use certain letters from certain words just to get the edge that I need. The subject of this portrait, by the way, is the Mesco family, Melissa, Brian, and their son Ben. Melissa and Brian are both very musical and artistic. And Ben is an amazing skateboarder. I'm sure you can find many videos online of him doing amazing things on the skateboard. Melissa is an amazing singer. She's also a massage therapist. And Brian plays guitar, bass, drums. He sings, he plays a little bit of piano as well. This is my favorite part, drawing the hair. Brian's son Ben has some really awesome hair in this picture. So I've sped this up pretty fast. I mean, I draw pretty quickly, but not this quickly. Like I said before, I think there's probably about 20 hours worth of work in this drawing, in just the inking process. These videos take a while to edit too. This is actually the first video where I've put commentary over top. You'll notice that I used a little bit of white ink on the neck of the man. There was a couple of corrections I needed to make to the tone and shadows there. So I went on to work on a different part of the drawing while the paint dried. Now you can see that I'm filling in that area. Luckily, if I have to, there are ways to fix mistakes. I usually take a while to decide whether something is a mistake or not. And if it is, I'll just use some white ink to cover it up. Now this is not whiteout. It's actually the same company that makes ink refills for ink pens. The music that you're hearing in the background was actually performed by the man in this picture, Brian Mesco. One of my other hobbies besides drawing is playing the drums. Brian and I have a band together, and we recorded an album. To make the music a little bit more relaxing for a drawing process video, I used versions of the songs we did without my drums. But you can look in the description below for a link to where you can hear the original versions with the drums. A little bit of extra information about the personnel on the album to the music you're hearing. The bass player is Dane Alderson, who is the bassist for the Yellow Jackets. We were lucky enough to gig with him and be friends with him before he joined and started recording this album as he was beginning to tour with them. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed this drawing process video. If you have any questions, please feel free to look me up, drop me an email. Press the like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. Thanks a lot and have a great day.